This episode of the Infamous Podcast is brought to you by CBS All Access. Looking for a new streaming service to add so you can watch more stuff? Check out CBS All Access. Hit up infamouspodcast.com/CBS and you can get a free 1-week trial to CBS All Access and check out things like Star Trek Discovery, Picard, Survivor, all the other cool stuff that CBS has to offer. Star Trek Discovery, I said that already. You should really watch that. So hit up infamouspodcast.com/CBS to learn more. Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
And Darryl.
And this is episode 248. We're closing in on 250. The Apocalypse. Coming at 250, where we're going to review the Kissing Booth universe.
No, it's to all the boys.
That's right.
Come on now.
We're not doing either one of those things. Anyway, but this week we are doing the Umbrella Academy Season 2 and a spoilerific season review. We have a special guest who's going to join us for that. But first, we've got some really interesting news bites that came out this week. We have some news about the Expanse. We have Milan news with Disney Plus. Or D+, however you want to say it. We've got some an actually interesting Suicide Squad game that was announced, and then some news about The Boys. So kicking it off with the Expanse, you actually shot this one over to me. The what is it? Cinema Spot has an exclusive that the Expanse has landed.
Words are hard.
Has landed in early season 6 renewal at Amazon. This is really, really good news. So there's 7 books.
No, is it 8 or 9?
Well, there's 7 books currently. I think 8 is out. Or are there 8?
Yeah, there's 8.
There's 8 books, and 9 is supposed to be out this year, which probably won't happen. Thanks, COVID.
You're not an Expanse fan. We understand.
Anyways, COVID's not just a fan. COVID's not a fan of anything. It's just not. It's a
nihilist.
One part. It's a 100% hater.
Yeah.
It hates all life.
It's the nothing.
It is. Poor Atreyu.
Wow. That was like 1984, and they predicted all of this.
So, dude, the never mind. The book 1984, just FYI, is not a manual. It's a cautionary tale. Let's just remember that. Anyway, so this is pretty interesting. So, season 5 stayed relatively close to the 4th book. And it's after that book where things really start to change. For the series.
Right.
I've said before, I kind of want to see the old man makeup on all of these actors.
Yeah, because the series is over 20 or 30. I don't recall.
I think it's like a 30-year span,
right?
Up until the point we're at now. And like Holden in book 8, whatever.
The
latest book is barely in it. He's the
spoilers
prologue.
He's
the prologue chapter and another chapter later on. But it's the way they used him in that book was great. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm excited for this. So it says here production for this 5th season had already wrapped back in February pre-coronavirus. So that's good. And so I'm really interested to see where they go. I want to see where they go with season 5. Mm-hmm. Because now that the area with Medina Station is open, it's interesting to see how close they're going to follow, because they don't have all the same characters, which isn't bad, but
and that's the one thing I'm not that
it doesn't have to follow exactly
right, and that's where
it just has to have the spirit
exactly, and that's how I am with the MCU and everything, because there's a lot of changes that they make from the comics to what we see on screen.
Yeah, like Iron Man was like
C-list character.
Was an A-list character in the MCU, and like in the comics, he was an A-list character until Tony Stark played him, until Robert Downey Jr. played him.
Yeah, and they did that a lot in the comics to try to bring more people in. So. But it's with books too. You don't have to follow like line for line and everything like that.
No, and I don't want that.
But like you said, the important thing is following the spirit. So
right.
I'm really excited to hear that news. I'm not surprised.
No.
At all, but it's always good to hear.
It's a huge show for Netflix or for Amazon, and it's one of those things where they saved it from the clutches of sci-fi, and they made it better.
Absolutely,
so
it's so much better.
Anyway.
I mean, I'm thankful that sci-fi took a chance with it.
Yeah,
absolutely thankful. Sci-fi.
Well,
took
I think because they had the exclusive streaming rights to it, and it did gangbusters for them there. Because that's how I watched it. I never watched it on regular TV. So,
yeah, I started watching it on Sci-Fi, surprisingly.
So well, because you remember I had watched the first season at your and David's behest, and I loved it. And I was getting ready to watch the second season, and season 3 had just ended, and it got canceled. And I think I remember telling you, I was like, man, I'm not going to watch this.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it, and I don't want to be disappointed. I don't need another Farscape on my hands where it's a show that I love that's prematurely ended and,
just rips your heart out.
Just rips my soul out. Never mind my heart. Anyway, all right. So the next bit of news, Mulan is coming directly to Disney+.
Mulan!
Now, I have not seen the cartoon.
I haven't.
Okay,
I just remember that part from the trailer.
So it is going to have premiere access starting September 4th for an additional $29.99, and I assume plus tax fee.
For rent.
So you can rewatch it as many times as you want. Like, it's in your Disney Plus.
Okay, so you just have the access. It's just okay.
Yeah, so Angela and I were actually arguing about this. I think that's a bullshit number. Like, that's way too expensive for something that I'm already paying for the year. Yeah. Now, I agree. Like, if you want to put it out a little early, like, or if you want to put it on the system and a streaming service and make me pay for it, like, okay, Amazon does that. Great. Yeah. Like, don't make it be $30 though. Yeah. Like, and what happens, like, if you pay that and you cancel your Disney Plus, then you don't get access to it anymore, right? It's not like you could buy it on iTunes or Amazon and actually kind of own the digital copy or, have rights to the digital copy. How about that? Maybe not own own's probably not the right word. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Now, this isn't a movie where I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to do this because I'm not familiar with, I'm familiar with the cartoon. I know what the story's about and everything. And, it's just one of those things. Like, I've never seen Lilo and Stitch either.
Oh, I've seen that.
So anyway, I've never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas either. And now at this point, I've kind of dug my heels in where I refuse to watch it.
I've never seen that all the way through. It's bits and pieces.
I've seen little bits of it. So but I don't know the name. I only know Jack Skellington, and that's because we've been to Disneyland. Anyway. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I think Bob Chapek is making a really interesting move here. I'm wondering if Black Widow is going to follow based on how well this does. Right. And then the real question is, am I going to do this for Black Widow?
See, and we were talking about this, off air a couple days when this came through.
Yeah.
And I even said, even the whole rental thing before I missed that part where it's like you get the access to basically the unlock key.
Yeah.
And I said, even if it was renting for Black Widow, that's one of those movies I could probably see myself doing that for.
Well, and you love Black Widow, and I'm just curious what kind of Black Widow death memes I'm gonna get after this to send you and Haley.
You are. I have no words. I can't even look at you right now. But yeah, it's this $30 price point, regardless of the movie. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're old enough to remember the Blockbuster days.
Although I remember, speaking of that, I remember paying my parents paying like $90 for the Star Wars like video cassette,
just the cassette. And that's where I was going with it. Like, you could rent the movie for $4, but if you wanted to buy the VHS tape or even the DVD set for a while, the Betamax, it was $100, and you had to order it from Blockbuster, and it took like 6 to 8 weeks to get there. And like, you would forget about it, and like, you'd roll in and be like, hey, or you'd call and be like, hey, I have your video. And like, what video? Star Wars. I didn't order Star Wars. You did, and you've already paid for it. Like, so, I'm glad to keep it if you don't want it. But, so this is an interesting move. I can see a lot of greed coming from this with other studios. I mean, Disney's greedy enough, but I think there's some other studios that'd be like, oh, you're gonna have to pay $50 to see this, and I think this is a weird move to see how Netflix would react to this and be like, well, now like the Umbrella Academy came out, so if you guys want to watch it, you have to pay an extra $20.
Yeah, it goes along the lines of remember the thought of the movie theaters charging premium for certain movies.
Right.
It usually takes just one to do it and be successful, and then everyone follows.
Right.
Which,
so
that's where I'm nervous about.
Yeah, I have high concerns there. So I don't know. I mean, go ahead and try it and see how it works. I think, like I said, it's a thing that's fraught with greed, and like if they're saying like, it's going to be available on just Disney Plus regularly in 4 months or 3 months, whatever the 90-day window is for the theatrical release to streaming. Okay, I'll wait the 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a big deal. But if that's going to be the only way you can watch it.
And I think the more important point that you made when you first started talking about it, say if I canceled Disney Plus.
Right.
So
I've paid $30 for a rental.
Yeah.
Like, that's I
don't like that.
That's price gouging.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the next story. It was announced on Polygon. I don't know if Polygon was the one who broke it, but I saw it on Polygon. Because Carlo, my buddy Carlo, Carlo sent me the link. But Suicide Squad is getting a game from Rocksteady Studios, the company that does the Arkham games.
Right.
This is really cool. I love the little tweet that they did with Superman with the Suicide Squad on his head as a target.
Yeah.
So this is really, really cool. There's not a whole lot that we know about it. We know that they're going to share more on August 22nd, so we'll follow up then. But if we can have an open world Suicide Squad game where, like, I could be Deadshot and run around and assassinate people, like, from the rooftops and then have to evade, like, Batman or whatever, that would be awesome. I will say, if they do this, Batman had better not be a playable character. No, Batman needs to be like the Joker in the Arkham
Suicide Squad game.
Right. Like, and
he's like Nemesis in Resident Evil Nemesis.
Yeah.
Like chasing you all around.
So, and let's do like the traditional Suicide Squad from the comics. Like, let's leave Harley out of this one. To be honest, like,
that's not going to happen.
I know it's not going to happen, but there's definitely some Harley Quinn overload.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, a lot of the Suicide Squad was always the Flash's rogues gallery. And, so
like Captain Cold.
Yeah, Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang, and then, you had Killer Shark and you had Killer Croc and, or King Shark, sorry, and Killer Croc, which is a Batman one. But anyway, I would like to see some like nice like parody of who it is, and not just Batman villains, and maybe definitely not like all the ones from the David Ayers Suicide Squad movie.
And I was telling you about the beta for the PS4 beta, at least for the Marvel Avengers game, which had been delayed for 3 or 4 months. I think it was supposed to come out in May. I think. But there was a lot of stuff delayed. But even before, like, this was delayed before COVID and everything. Yeah. But I've been watching some footage of that, and it looks pretty fun. So, putting that into the fact.
So is that like an MMO? Like,
no,
is it like DCU Online, or is it?
So it's like
Grand Theft Auto.
It's right now. Again, I've only watched like 20 minutes of it. It's so they're playing the story mode, and the story mode is
cool.
Just like any other story mode. It's not really open world. It's
okay.
It kind of reminds me of, and it's funny. I'm looking at your Legos, the Lego games, like where you have.
Okay.
I mean, just how the story progresses.
It's basically a 3D side scroller.
Yes, but they also have. There's also, because I was watching the War Room or War Table about it, where they have all this other stuff that reminds me more of Destiny with some of the stuff, and I'm still not sure how all of this is going to work. But if the Suicide Squad took some of those, those notes of the game, for it, I mean, just again, I do like the Suicide Squad, and I think you could make a fascinating game by making a game with the villains.
Yeah. Where you get to go do evil.
Right.
So,
I mean, reminds me. Remember the Infamous games?
Yeah. Oh, dude, those games.
I love those.
So, the first two are amazing. The Second Son, Infamous and Infamous 2.
Yeah,
were amazing, and then there was Second Son, and then First Light.
Okay,
which I have not played First Light yet, but Second Sons was not fun. I didn't care for it as much.
I would love to have a remaster of the Infamous 1 and 2 on PS4.
Yeah, I think it is.
Dude,
we'll have to check. Yeah. Anyway, but back to the Marvel game real quick. My favorite bit of news about the Marvel game that came out is that Spider-Man is going to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive character, and all the Xbox people were like, come on, Sony. And it's like, Sony's not giving up. Like, they made a deal with Marvel to, like, you know, let Marvel keep using Spider-Man in the movies. But so, like, it's not like the other characters, right? Like, 20th Century Fox had the rights to the Fantastic Four movies, right? Sony owns part of the character of Spider-Man.
Right.
It's not just rights. They own part of the character, which was the dumbest move Marvel ever made. But at the same time, it kept them from going under and having Warner Brothers buy them. So, which would have been a horrible move as well.
Oh, geez.
So,
I have nightmares about that now.
But yeah, so it's really interesting to see. I'm excited for the Suicide Squad game. I think it's fantastic, and you know, it's a great idea. And I think they could tell some really cool stories, but it needs to be more GTA Infamous.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. That's it. You know, the Avengers is the Avengers. You know, the Avengers is, you know, that PG-13 forever. Suicide Squad is not that.
Yeah, this is a mature game. Like, you know, like your parents have to buy it for you if you want it, sort of thing. Anyway, all right. So moving on, our last two bits. The Boys Season 2 official trailer came out. Oh man, it is gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to the addition of Aya Cash to the team. I'm looking forward to seeing more quotes of Starlight. So, and having Jack Quaid back is you know, I mean, Jack Quaid is just perfect as Wee Huey.
Yeah.
And then Carl Urban, man, I stand by it. Like, if he's in something, I'm probably gonna like it. And it looks like from what we've seen is no, it doesn't buck the trend.
Yeah, and I'm the same with him. He's one of those actors, or like Scarlett Johansson, or there's a couple other ones like Chris Hemsworth. Now, granted, Chris Hemsworth have been in a couple of movies, but they're those type of actors that just bring me to, like, hey, I might check that out, even if I'm not interested in it. Ghostbusters 2016 notwithstanding, but so I
wasn't not interested in that because of Chris Hemsworth,
right?
I wasn't not interested in it because it was an all girls Ghostbusters. I was not interested in it because it should have been a spinoff. They filmed it in Boston. It should have been Boston, and they should have used Revolutionary War ghosts, and that'd have been amazing because Hamilton was like a thing when they started filming, and like
that'd have been perfect.
Let's kind of ride this wave and like throw Lin-Manuel in there as the ghost of Alexander Hamilton. That'd have been hilarious.
That actually kind of would have been pretty funny.
You know, I'm not smarter than any of these people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a better storyteller than Paul Feig.
So you can't write better stories than.
I think the only people I can do better than at storytelling is Vince McMahon.
Oh, jeez.
Honestly, it's not hard.
Is he even trying?
It's not hard, no. So anyway, I don't even want to talk about that. But the trailer is great. We get Stormfront. Thank you. I was gonna say Stormflight. I don't know why. So we get Stormfront. There's some great interactions with her and the Homelander.
Yeah. I'm gonna love seeing their.
I'm gonna love just the faces that Homelander continually makes anytime she opens her mouth.
Yeah.
And then in the exclusive clip that's also on YouTube, anytime the Deep opens his mouth.
Yeah.
And when the Deep comes up and hugs him in that clip after the whale gets killed, he's like, "What do you want? Go away. You're gross."
I was talking to somebody about the Boys at the gym, and what I was saying is I love it anytime he's on screen for two reasons. Well, one, because he's so great.
Yeah.
And two, he makes everything so uncomfortable because it's like, okay.
The Deep?
Or
Homelander.
Homelander.
Yeah.
It's like, who is he going to pull apart?
Right. Because they're all walking on eggshells because he could kill any one of them at any moment. But now you have Stormfront, who is as powerful as him, and at least in the comics.
Yeah.
And he can't just kill her.
Can't run over her.
Right. because when she's like, just shoot my tits, and it's like, oh my god, that was awesome. It's so funny. It's like, and what is he burning off?
Yeah, and that's the thing we were talking about earlier about it doesn't need to things don't need to follow exactly.
No, but I like
beat for beat.
I do like the idea of her being like a Nazi from back in the day.
Yeah.
So
that I'm going to be curious to see how they change her character, because again, I did not read to the Stormfront in the comics.
You didn't get that far.
Yeah, I got you.
It's okay. Hold on.
Dude, I am not Scott Lang, okay? You want to go to space?
I just really patronizingly patted Darryl on the head.
You want to go to space?
Puppy wants to go to space.
But yeah.
Puppy wants to read The Boys.
So I cannot wait. September 4th.
Again, another September 4th release. And you were saying that it's not going to be released all in one chunk.
Yeah. Now, I saw that a few weeks ago.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Right, and
so.
I never.
And I haven't seen anything.
Right, I have never got a chance to fully confirm that, but the idea was that they were going to release the first 3 episodes, and this is what Hulu does with some of their shows: is release the first couple episodes and then release it on a weekly basis. Which for The Boys wouldn't be. It would be 5 weeks, because I think are there only 8 episodes? Or
there were
10?
only 8. I don't know how many they're doing for the second season. It doesn't say. Release date September 4th. So it says it'll drop 3 episodes up front, and then the others each Friday until October 9th.
Okay.
So about a month. So yeah, it's 3.
You know,
about
awesome
8 or 9. So
is if The Mandalorian premiered the week after that. That would be perfect.
Oh, I think The Mandalorian's like October 29th or something.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay, I never got. I knew they were going to do it.
It's in October. Right. I'm not. Don't quote me on the date.
Speaking of which, there's supposed to be a trailer to come out this month for The Mandalorian season 2.
So that should be exciting to see. And you got your Moff Gideon pops, and mine got delayed.
Yes.
Did you order yours from Amazon?
Yes.
Bastards. Anyway,
well, that's happened with you. Like, you've gotten stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
You're like, where's
mine?
I will say about The Boys, like Eric Kripke, man, like that guy knows how to run a show.
Dude, the best seasons of Supernatural.
It was the only seasons of Supernatural. What are you talking about?
Say, go ahead and say it.
So, I mean, there were 5 seasons of Supernatural, and then there was some spinoff that is still, I guess, is still going on. But I have a question, because it was on at the gym, and I guess Felicia Day was on it.
Oh yeah, she's in it for.
Did her character get killed in a bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that.
Yeah.
But like, I saw her like in the bathroom, and then there was like a bloody toilet, and I'm like, okay, I guess her character died right then. Like, I wasn't really paying too much attention, but okay. So that was I meant to actually call you.
I love her in that show.
Well, I mean,
I love Felicia Day.
She's awesome for the most part.
She's awesome.
Anyway, so yeah, it's the Boys coming back, the Mandalorian coming back. The Mulan stuff is interesting. Again, I kind of want to see how they do it. I have no problem spending $20 on a movie to own.
Yes.
Whatsoever. I have no problem spending $25 on a movie to own. If it's like, like Avengers Endgame or something like that. Now, if Avengers Endgame comes out and it's $25, I'm probably waiting until like the price drops to 20 or 14 or something like that, 20 or 15. But yeah, I don't know. But also, like, I get burned every time. Like, I buy the John Wick movies the day they come out, because like I just can't hold my wad and I want to watch them. And then within like 3 months they're $4.99. I'm like, yeah, I could have saved myself $15.
Another quick Speaking of John Wick, did you see that 4 and 5 are supposed to be back to back?
Yeah, they're going to film back to back, which is interesting. So 5 was greenlit the other day. I'll add that to the show notes as well. But yeah, so that, I mean, great. I hope they do 6, just a total of 6, right? And that's it. I think if you end at 5, that's weird. And my OCD-ness will be like, where's the 6th movie? Can we get an even number, please? No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't. But I just want 6 movies. Yeah, I would like, because like the first trilogy was something, and now I want the second trilogy to like really kind of do that world. And I read the John Wick origin comic.
I haven't read that.
Where like he like joins how he gets into like I guess the guild and gets connected with the Continental and everything.
Which
and it was really good.
Are they
It's
still
from Dynamite.
Oh, okay.
It was just a miniseries. It was
I was going to say, speaking of the Continental, they're still doing that series.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I don't know if they finished filming it or what when everything got shut down. But I don't know. I think kind of like any of these people have like TV shows in the can right now, where they have a whole season done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying put it out right now, but like kind of like
I would
move dates up.
Yeah, and start throwing stuff out there, snippets of information and teasers and things
I think
like that.
instead of like for the streaming services, like instead of like just throwing everything out at once, do like the Hulu and what Amazon is doing here, do 3-ish episodes and then do it once a week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's great. I mean we're like with the boys, we're gonna have something to talk about for 5 straight weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
I wonder if they're gonna do that. Amazon's gonna do that with the Expanse too when it comes out.
See, the Expanse is like the exception. I don't want to wait.
See, I do. I
want it all at once because it's only going to be 8 or 10 episodes and I'm going to just binge right through it.
The reason I like that is because The Expanse is one of the best shows of leaving cliffhangers after every episode.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to be forced to wait sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, again, if there's a major cliffhanger, there's no way I'm stopping.
Yeah.
It's 1 o'clock. I don't care.
Yeah, right. so, it's like the whole idea of infinite scroll on Facebook because it used to be you'd scroll down and you'd have to like load the next 10 stories or whatever,
right.
And they found that when people would get to that like end point, they'd put the phone down. So now they do infinite scroll, and Instagram's the same way, obviously, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna zombie scroll for the rest of my life, which. Let's be honest, like with the lockdown, we've all been zombie scrolling through streaming stuff.
I have to watch myself on Instagram because I don't do Facebook, but it's like I'm like, okay, I've been scrolling for like 5 minutes now. Okay, let me turn.
My thumb hurts. I've been scrolling so much, my thumb hurts. Like I watched Devs the other day, I just finished it today.
I'm like episode 6 right
so now. And I watched it, like I watched the first episode and it was okay, and then I came back to it a couple days later and watched the next one, and like it was like every other day I watched an episode. It was interesting. I can't say that I liked it, but I definitely didn't dislike it.
Yeah, that's how I am right now, and I'm not finished with it yet,
but I mean, it has my spirit animal Nick Offerman in it, so I was definitely gonna watch it. And I love Alison Pill,
Dr. Girardi.
Yeah, Dr. Girardi. Maggie from Newsroom. Scott's girlfriend from the Sex Bombs.
Yes.
So anyway,
I forgot about that.
They're a kick-ass 3-piece rock act with this smoking hot drummer.
I love that movie.
It's so great. But yeah, so I don't know. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. We have to get our special guest to come in for the Umbrella Academy. So give a sec. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. We have our special guest. Introduce yourself, special guest.
What's up? It's Kidbot. I'm back after begging.
It's been years. It's been years since she's been on the show. All right. So Haley has been invited back finally. What
version was it before?
Mighty Zodiac.
It was the Mighty Zodiac was the last episode she was on when we talked to Jay Torres. Shout out Jay. Anyway, so Haley loves the Umbrella Academy. She's obsessed with it. All of her masks for 7th grade are going to be Umbrella Academy masks.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So you're welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Spoiled brat.
Hey,
anyway,
you don't have to buy me stuff. That's your choice.
Anyway, so we thought it would be a good idea to have a resident Umbrella Academy expert because she knows so much about all of this stuff.
Far too much.
It's far too much is 100% accurate.
An
So anyway, so this is going to be a spoilerific episode.
Yes.
So we're definitely going to spoil the shit out of it, as the kids say. But all right. So real quick, we'll just go around. Haley, what did you think of season 2 as compared to season 1?
It was great.
Okay. Get closer to the microphone.
Hey, sorry. Luther definitely got a redemption, and that was awesome. I didn't hate him as much. Klaus's cult, awesome.
Okay, well, we'll get into all that. We just want, like, your general. So you liked
I
it.
loved it.
You liked what they did with Luther.
Yes.
You like Klaus. We'll get into more of that.
I did not expect to like it more than I liked season 1.
Yes, yeah, I'm right there with you.
I thought it was great, and as Haley started off with some of the character arcs we'll get into more of, I was really happy with pretty much most of the character arcs. How they jumped from season 1 and how you saw them improve from season 2.
So I'm the same. I did not. I expected a sophomore slump, especially because it was almost 18 months after the first one came out, so I didn't know if there were issues or something that went along with the lines with that. Also because they were going with the second comic where they go to Dallas, which Haley's read the comics.
Okay. See, I haven't read the.
Oh, dude, you got to read the comics. They're so different. They're so awesome.
I've read maybe the first probably few issues.
Okay.
But
so I mean,
I
it's
didn't get
there.
to that point.
Each one is like 6 to 7 issues.
Mm-hmm.
But so they go to Dallas, and it's obviously the comics are completely different, and this is like we were talking about. Like, it doesn't have to follow the source material exactly. It just has to have the spirit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like like the Ready Player One movie is not very good, but I think it did its best to capture the spirit of the book, right?
Which was something difficult to do.
Which it
that
was.
Type of book.
And I think where it lost, like Ready Player One, where it lost it was the whole idea of the resistance. That was just, come on, Steven, you're better than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's the summary for this one. So it says here 5, and this is directly from Netflix. Which I have something I have to tell you later. So it says here 5 warned his family so many times that using his powers to escape from Vanya's 2019 apocalypse. Words are hard. Was risky. Well, he was right. The time jump scattered the siblings in time and in and around Dallas, Texas, over a 3-year period starting in 1960. Some have been stuck in the past for years and have built lives and moved on. Certain they're the only ones who survived. 5 is the last to land smack dab in the middle of a nuclear doomsday, which, spoiler alert, turns out as a result of the group's disruption of the timeline. Déjà vu, anyone? Now the Umbrella Academy must find a way to reunite, figure out what's caused doomsday, put a stop to it, and return to the present timeline to stop that other apocalypse, all while being hunted by a trio of ruthless Swedish assassins, the IKEA Mafia. But seriously, no pressure or anything. I mean, that, like, Netflix, what a great little, like, write-up. I didn't do it justice by, like, mumble-mouthing my way through it. But, all right, so I want to go through let's go through the Umbrella Academy characters, like, the members of the Umbrella Academy. Like, kind of like you were going where you're going with like Luther and everything, like kind of what we liked about them, what we didn't like about them, and then we'll go into the episodes, and we'll just kind of jump around. We don't have to go like episode by episode because that's no fun. All right, so the first one I have is Vanya Hargreeves, the white violin.
Yeah, so it's funny at first with Vanya, we get that whole amnesia thing a lot with, hey, look at all the soaps and stuff.
Yeah,
and the one thing I don't think it ever connected with, or not necessarily connected with, but did she lose her did she get that amnesia because of her power surge or because of just a little bump on the head?
Well, I don't know if it's because like the gunshot in her ear, or there was a lot of things. I don't know. What do you think?
Definitely was not the car. That thing barely hit her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she took a bump on the head.
But that I don't think that would have been enough. So
I mean, it could have been.
Yeah.
No.
No, you're a doctor now?
Yes, I am.
You're a neurologist?
I am.
Really?
Yes.
You haven't even finished. You haven't even started 7th grade, and you're a neurologist.
Doogie Howser.
Trust me, she's no Doogie Howser.
No one wants to trust me with surgical tools.
No.
But Vanya as a character, I liked her a little bit more in this one, just because she was so in season 1, and this is how it was supposed to be. In season 1, she was very kind of timid until what's the guy's name? Leonard came. But in this one, you saw more of, who she is underneath all the stuff that Professor Hargreeves put down.
So Reginald Hargreaves.
Yeah. So I did like her character. Her powers, I like watching her experimenting with her powers.
It's what should have happened, right?
Yes.
It's how Hargreaves should have done it.
Yeah.
I will say, I'll let you go next, but Haley, I will say, I felt like her storyline was very Back to the Future. You know,
Yes.
she gets hit by a car. She gets taken in. She like the lady who lives there tries to hook up with her.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it was like if it's like what would have happened if Marty McFly would have been Mary McFly and Lorraine would have been like, ooh. Who's
I never thought of it that
Who's
way.
Victoria's Secret?
That is funny.
So they called her Victoria instead of Calvin.
Yeah.
I thought she like, and again, I don't. This isn't a problem, but I felt like everything about her was predictable.
Yeah.
Which I think in a show that is so filled with chaos, that's not a horrible thing to have Vanya as your baseline. I loved her and Harlan together. I think that was really interesting, and I'm curious to see a 60-year-older Harlan in season 3, maybe.
Right.
Because he had some vestiges of her power. I enjoyed the antagonistic relationship with her and Sissy's husband. What was his name? Carl, thank you. With her and Carl, because at first it was like kind of like, oh, all right, they're just kind of like he views her as the help, and then he kind of started viewing her as a threat, and it was really interesting the way his tone changed with her, and like the whole I'm naked as a jaybird in his boxer shorts, you know, and so I don't know. What did you think of Vanya?
First off, she's my spirit animal.
Okay.
I don't know why, but she just is.
Okay.
Vanya is one of my top 5 favorite characters in this show.
Well, there's only 6 of them, so.
Exactly. You know where Luther stands still.
Well, yeah, 7. I know it's Ben's dead.
That's not cool.
But Ben's a character.
He is. I know. I'm kidding.
That's
So.
not cool.
All right. Well,
That hurts.
speaking of Luther, what did you think of Luther in season 2?
I wanted to send him back to the moon as soon as it started to blow up. Either that or smack him really hard.
Yeah. So, but in season 2, what did you think?
I liked him. He got better. His daddy issues definitely lessened. And just I liked the relationship between him and Diego.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
All right. What do you think of Luther?
So it's funny you said that, like with him and Diego, because Luther and Diego remind me a bit of Sam and Dean. And
why are you laughing?
No, you laughed and then I laughed. That's how
and the
it
reason I
works.
say that is and it's backwards. Like Diego has more of the personality, the angriness of Dean,
He's Batman, just lower.
while Luther is more of a Sam, but he has the daddy issues that Dean has.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, like with Luther had, you know, it's all about what would Dad do? What would Dad do? That's it's supernatural. That's the huge. Like Dean's always doing.
Oh,
that.
right.
Like he doesn't want to disappoint his father, and
Who's been dead for
yeah,
the whole series.
right, pretty much,
Just about, yeah.
And with Luther, it was that same way.
I mean, for at least 4 of the 5
yeah,
seasons.
and there is a guest appearance like in the season.
Anyway.
But yeah, so Luther being able to break free and basically become his own man,
Mm-hmm.
while at the same time Diego, you know, again they had this rivalry of, you know,
1 and 2.
1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Hargreeves purposefully did that.
Well,
it's never shown, but I think he's one of those people that if he's one of those people that did what he did with Vanya, regardless of why he did it,
right.
if he thinks getting the best out of those 2 guys would be to put them together,
Yeah, to pit them
against each other, he would do it. So I really liked, especially toward the end of this season, watching these 2 guys who were basically who were rivals, like throughout, you know, throughout their lives,
Like the 2 guys on your shirt.
yep, Wolverine and Cyclops.
Boo and yay.
Wolverine's your favorite, right?
I'm going to cut you. You're not going to see it coming, but I'm going to cut you. Anyway. All right, you've seen I'm reclaiming your time. Now go ahead, finish.
No, but that was it. Like I really like how they both started to respect one another and actually work together and just lose a lot of that belligerence they had toward one another.
Team 0.
Yeah, Team 0.
So,
Worst name ever.
well, you understand what it means.
I know, but
Okay.
still.
Anyway, all right. So in the comic, Luther is my favorite character. And in here, I love Tom Hopper. He was great as Dick and Tarly.
Billy Bones.
Yeah. So I enjoyed Luther as well, and I like the changes that they made to him. But like Diego hit it like nail on the head. Like I look at you and I forget that you're so big, that you're so goddamn sensitive, and like you really get to see that. The one thing I did not like about Luther this season is they dumbed him down a lot. Like he seemed less capable, and I didn't like that, and I don't know why they did that, because he's the leader of the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Like
he's
he's their field general. He's the one who's like when you see them as kids, he's the one, directing traffic, and you didn't have that, and I found that odd. So go ahead. Sorry.
So as you know, in the comics, Luther is supposed to get really fat.
Yeah, we'll talk about this.
I feel like they didn't really know where to go with his character because, well, they couldn't do that.
So in the comic, he's human head, but the
space
body of a gorilla. Well, Space Boy is because he's the first boy that went into space.
But when I say Space Boy, I think.
But yeah, he's Space Boy. Yeah. Anyway, so the gorilla gets really fat. He gets really, really fat because Allison, the whole thing with him and Allison, he gets depressed, and
so he
just starts eating. Well, they did not do that because of Fat Thor. Because when he's sitting there eating, because if you notice when he meets Ray for the first time, he just starts eating.
Yeah,
there's not a scene in the rest of the show almost that he's not eating something, and that I think that would have added to the like kind of like disassociation that he had, like when like Five's trying to be like, I need a wingman, and he's like, or I need a spotter, and he's like, is that a wingman? And then like, oh, you want to go now, sort of a thing. But yeah, all right. So Diego. So I like Diego. Diego's probably my least favorite member of the Umbrella Academy. I'm allowed to have my opinion,
I know. Still.
And mainly because he's got the biggest daddy issues of all of them.
Yeah.
Plus he's paired with the mommy issues from Mom Robot.
And
and I will say it was heartbreaking when he met Grace, and the mom issues that just kind of like struggled back, because then all of a sudden he's like, I want to kill him, like I want to kill Hargreeves. Like it wasn't like we need Dad's help, I'm gonna kill him. And it's like that was just really weird, and like the fact that he went crazy was interesting, but at the same time, like he was the most capable hero of all of them because he never stopped.
Yeah.
And then
Never compromise.
But I loved him and Lila together. I thought that was really an interesting pairing. And then I missed the interaction that he had with Klaus from season 1 that we didn't get as much of this time, except for when he went to get Klaus from the mansion.
Yes, but that was.
But it wasn't right. But it wasn't Klaus. So I mean, it's still him and David Castaneda and Robert Sheehan have amazing chemistry together. Yeah. So all right.
One of the things like you're talking about the mansion part, I really loved it when he finds out that that's not Klaus, but it's Ben.
Right.
And just like that exuberant reaction of, I haven't seen, it's my brother from 15 years ago.
Yeah, I haven't seen you for 17 years, and depending on when he landed in the 60s.
I mean, technically, he
still
hasn't seen
hadn't
him.
Well,
it's
right.
more like talk.
Right. Well, and then he says it's so great to talk to you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, like from season, I did think the whole connection, or the that connection with him and Lila was great.
Yeah.
I didn't miss. I did like the that season 1 interaction between him and Klaus, but I think I like better like just him and Luther being able to get through their parental issues to finally see each other as brothers and not rivals
and equals.
Yeah, equal. Yes.
So because I mean, Diego definitely has an inferiority complex, which like he said think Batman, but like Five wasn't around long enough to meet Jason Todd. It's think Red Hood but lower. So anyway, all right, what did you think?
Diego is probably one of the lower of my favorite characters, but he's still up there. Diego is hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved him with Lila, especially after he just got stabbed by Hargreeves.
Yeah.
And then she pokes him with the broom in the stab wound. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. But, like, when you're talking about him and Grace, when he actually meets, like...
The real life Grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't cry, and I wanted to cry so bad.
There was an error in our programming there.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to fix that. All right. So moving on to Klaus, I think. Well, actually, why don't you go first with Klaus, Haley?
I've kind of just adopted Klaus as my son. Klaus is one of my
super
favorite.
Weird.
The entire fandom has adopted him.
Okay.
Okay.
She's all up on the internet about this stuff, watching
Yeah.
like the
When I
videos
get
and on
obsessed
Pinterest.
with something,
Yeah.
I go all out.
So, anyway, is there anything in particular that stood out about Klaus?
Him and his connection with Ben, and yes, the cult.
The cult, yeah.
I'm gonna make an Umbrella Academy like fan club at school, and we're gonna be called Destiny's Children.
Yeah. All right.
So funny story. When I was in 6th grade, this was when like Battle Force 2000 came out.
Oh,
for
yeah,
G.I.
yeah.
Joe. I did I did something like that at school. Like I was like, okay, this is your cult. Yeah, I was geeky like that. Yeah.
You guys are you're both adorable. Anyway, so what did you think of Klaus? Oh, did you have anything else? Now you're done. Okay, good.
I like the change in the whole cult thing. I love the whole. It's not a cult. It's pretty much a cult.
It's a cult. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Klaus, he's always been the one who, and again, it seems like when people see ghosts, they start taking to the drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, again, if I was the only person seeing ghosts all the time, that'd probably weigh on you.
Yeah.
And he's one of those that he uses that humor and he uses recreational drugs to get through that. And to be sober he was sober for what? I don't know how long.
3
Like
He was 3 years.
3
yeah.
years. So being sober, and he used the cult as an outlet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was his drug.
Yeah, right.
So
he still needed something to, and I really liked how finally seeing more of Ben.
Yeah.
And seeing more of Ben's personality with Klaus, and they were like that, the brothers that love each other, but also just can't hate each other at the same time. So. Like, the fight on the road, or he's like when they were playing the card game, he's like, time to come out, Ben.
Yep.
No, I'm good. So I did, and again, like Klaus having to peel back the pain of, was it Dave?
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah. Which, again, I know this is the whole, the time travel. I think, Endgame's got in my head, and the whole quantum, how time travel would really work, but I still do like time travel, like Back to the Future, Hot Tub Time Machine, and this, where if you do something, it affects just that one timeline. I mean, it's more basic, but from a standpoint of the narrative of that season, it's more immediate as far as what is going to happen. So, like him trying to convince Dave not to go to war and all this stuff, it showed. It showed it was like a part of him that he wanted to close off after he lost him.
Yeah.
And
he wanted to save him, which he couldn't do.
Right, and having to open back up again. So I did like how Klaus went from, again, he's still not a leader in the sense of, I mean, he led a cult, but starting to accept himself a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Which I liked.
So one of my favorite parts about Klaus was the poker game in the bar, and the guy goes, "Shut your mouth, stupid's falling out." That's the best line in the whole season. But so he loses because Ben's like, he's got nothing, and like the guy,
that's not,
a king high, full house, and Klaus is like, that's not nothing, and Ben's like, like he just like shrugs his shoulder, and so Klaus then does the Klaus thing and tries to steal the keys, and you hear them jingle, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, like he's so committed to the bit. But no, I think the interactions with Klaus and Ray were actually some of my favorites, because he just immediately accepted Ray as like part of the family, and like got him out of jail, and when he shows up with the 2 dead Swedes, and he's like, "Are we burying or burning?"
Yeah, one dead.
It's like
one dead.
Yeah, the one dead Swede. Thank you. The second Swede that died.
Yeah.
Are we burying or burning? And it was really like just. It's really weird to say about the junkie, but he was the wholesome character this year.
Yeah.
And I thought it worked out like really nice. And Robert Sheehan as an actor is just charisma personified.
Oh, absolutely.
And, did you ever watch Misfits?
I'm actually in the process of watching.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
You can't watch it yet. It's TVMA.
Well, that was what I was about to ask.
So, but did you get to the point where the guy who played Ramsey is Bolton is on there yet?
Yeah. So I'm yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I really liked it. I really liked Klaus this season. I feel like he's the connective tissue for the family.
Oh, absolutely.
As well.
I 100% agree.
Like he's the literal heart and soul of the family. All right, so number 5 is alive.
When you said number 5 for a second, I was like, okay, what's after number 5? But yeah, number 5. He's in this.
Well, there's 2 more rules to the psychosis paradox after number 5.
So number 5 is, for lack of a better term, he's a jerk. Like,
oh yeah,
and again, it's easy to forget because who's the actor that plays
Ian Gallagher.
Ian Gallagher. Okay,
her boyfriend.
I like his acting and I like his music.
She loves
okay.
him.
Music.
Yeah, he's a musician.
Oh, didn't know that.
He is. He's actually a really good musician.
All right, we'll check that out later.
But I like him so much because when he looks like he carries this air of disdain for people, which is an air that only like the older 60-year-old people carry, and he does it so well. In this one, like again, you're talking about how Klaus is kind of like the heart and soul and the linchpin. What I saw with 5 this season instead of last season, it seemed like he let go of the reins a little bit in the sense of not treating his siblings like children,
right?
And because he was talking down to them the whole season 1.
Oh yeah,
he still did that this season.
Well, yeah, children sit in the back.
Yeah, but there was more of that camaraderie of being almost equals instead of, and again, it's one of those things that, at least for me, if you talk down to me, it doesn't matter if I know more than I do or not.
Right.
I'm less apt to, stick my neck out for you, regardless of what it is.
Right.
And it seems like, and again, part of that's because of his life. Dude, he was an assassin.
Yeah, the greatest assassin in all of time and space.
So there's a part of him that's, just not on the level of a normal person because he kills people for a living.
Right.
So I think being able to connect to his family is kind of shaving away some of that indifference.
Well, it's what he was missing.
Yes.
So
right. So I did like seeing him, especially toward the end, being there for his family.
Yeah.
Instead of it was 5 season 1. It was 5, and then these peons down here. And then by the end of season 2, they were closer together. They were more of a family.
Yeah, he realized he needed them.
You're right.
So, I really liked 5 this season as well. The whole psychosis paradox thing was amazing, and it was like Aidan Gallagher and the little like twitches that he would do, and like how he would just kind of unconsciously, like obviously he's an actor, but how he was unconsciously scratching it at like his neck or his chest, and the little back area there, like what you're doing right now. Haley, you're unconsciously scratching your arm. Anyway, so hey, does your nose itch?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, don't itch it.
Tell me not to do something. I gotta do it. It's just like at cross country earlier today. Our coach said I wasn't allowed to push the button so I could soak everyone.
Yeah.
I wanted to push it so bad after that.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so I loved getting to see him fight. Like, like when he killed all of the guys in the diner in season 1, that was great. But like, it was so fast, and we saw most of it from outside the diner, and we only saw flashes of light. When he took out the board of directors, it was brutal, it was hilarious, and it was like, this is the best use of this power. This is the best possible use of this power.
Yeah.
Like you said, it reminded me of Nightcrawler in the in X2.
Teleporter is like, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, you can take down a whole regiment of soldiers.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and I like that we saw limits to his powers. Like it,
Where he got tired.
He got tired and he couldn't jump, which is what one would expect. And then I really, really liked the bits with him and Luther and his older self. I felt like, I think Tom Hopper does not get enough credit for being like the one who brings all of the actors' charisma out, because he himself is super charisma, but he does a great job playing the straight man.
Yeah.
And he helps, like he's like Scottie Pippen, right? He brought everybody up.
Right.
So, and I think the other thing I love is number 5 and the handler, and especially Aiden and Kate Walsh's chemistry as well. Like, because it's like she would totally sleep with a 10-year-old kid because, like, she's that bad.
And you see how bad she is.
Oh yeah, wonderfully bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So moving on to. Oh wait, you didn't get to talk about him.
No, I did not.
You're
I'm
good.
kind of.
Go ahead.
will
What do you think?
strangle you.
All right. What do you think about number 5? 3
is...
words or less. Just go. I'm kidding.
He is my favorite character. I find him hilarious, and
dead sexy.
I'm not denying that.
Just highlight that. I'm not dying.
But when he's lifting off, like, the stages of...
Yeah.
What's it called?
Paradoxpsychosis.
Paradoxpsychosis. His face. Just, like, the deadpan expression of it. Especially while he's doing, like, the baby powder and drinking the milk or whatever.
The water, yeah.
It was hilarious.
I did. So I was kind of rewatching that when waiting for you to come up. And I did notice when he did 1, 2, and then the thumb for 3, and all I could think of was Inglourious Bastards. Because they do it so they do it with the thumb, the forefinger, and the middle finger for 3,
right?
And then he did 4 and then 5. But it was like oh, goddamn Quentin Tarantino, thank you for ruining everything for me, because all I can think of is how this now it's like, okay, so he was in the Inglourious Bastards, maybe
crossover,
so, right? How great would that be? All right, anything else?
Aidan Gallagher was the only one who was like fans of the comics before he auditioned, and he was the last one to actually get the part.
Yeah.
But the way that he like rehearsed for getting the part of 5 was kind of interesting. Like, before he auditioned, he went back, read the comics, and like focused on 5's posture and the way he acted, like
standing like an old man.
Yeah, because like.
Yeah, because he does.
In an
he
interview,
hunches.
He said he wanted to get like 5's
PTSD.
Yeah, right, about like being in the apocalypse.
Yeah, being alone
and all
for 45
that stuff.
years.
Yes.
So do you remember the movie 18 Again with George Burns?
Oh, the old
yeah. And when he switches and all of a sudden the young kid, his shoulders are up here, like up around his ears. That's funny. No, that's a good call.
I really love hearing stuff like that when actors are actually fans of the material. Like Henry Cavill is a huge fan of The Witcher.
And
I
Superman.
I just love hearing when actors actually are
enjoy the source material.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll say 5 is, and you'll probably agree with this, is the closest to the comic. That character is closest to the comic, but again, he's also the linchpin for everything happening. He leaves, they fall apart, he comes back, they get together. All right, so the rumor, Allison Hargreaves.
I heard a rumor. I blew your mind,
dude. You can tell like the darkness in her, like when she rumors someone.
Yeah.
Because I heard a rumor, and just the joy when she's like, I blew your mind.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God, I love, Emmy is amazing. She's beautiful and super sexy, and I love her to death. And I love Allison. I think Allison is a great character because she's got to restrain herself at all times.
Exactly.
Because at no point, do you remember Justice League Unlimited, the finale when Superman's fighting Darkseid, and he's like,
I can't. I
and
don't have to hold back.
He's like, I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard. I have to always be careful not to let loose because I could kill someone or hurt something. But you can take it, can't you, big man? So now we have a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you who I really am.
That, yes.
And that's all I think about when I'm watching her. And then the way Emmy holds that restraint in, especially when she goes back to the 60s. And we were talking about this a little bit. She grew up post-civil era or post-civil rights era. She grew up in the 80s and the 90s and you know, into the 2000s when, you know, I mean, yeah, you're black, you know, it's way different.
Yeah.
You don't have that struggle, and that struggle for her was so hard, and she could have changed everything with, I heard a rumor, and she didn't, and she knew well enough not to until she didn't.
Yeah.
And then when she did finally let loose on the guy who kicked her out, like that coffee shop was so instrumental to her character this year, because she came in, she landed, she couldn't talk, she wandered in, and they're like, you got to go, it's whites only. And you know, and then she bumps into the guys on the street, she does what she does, and she fights back, and then, you know, she's saved in the salon. But I just loved the way Allison approached this season up until the end, when it was like, oh wait, I can see Claire again, because it was like, did she forget all about Claire? Like that was a concern I had through the whole season, because Claire was so instrumental to her story in the first season, and to see that, like, oh wait, like I love Ray, like, you know, I love Ray, but I love my daughter, and like I need to get back to her. So that's what I liked about Allison. So either one of you go.
You want to go first?
Sure. Allison is...
Get closer to the microphone.
Okay, I'm sorry. Allison is a great character. I like after the whole Claire incident where she rumored her daughter and Patrick divorced her and all that, I'm happy that she learned like some restraint, because she says in like one of the episodes, I think she's talking to Luther at the barbecue maybe, like she says she's happy because she feels like she's finally earned everything she's done, because she hasn't been using her rumor.
Right.
And like the first time we see her even try to use her rumor outside of, well, the apocalypse thing that Five jumps into is where she's going to protect Ray. Right. When he's getting arrested.
And then she doesn't, like, because she knows it'll cause more problems. So.
And then the first time she actually uses it, and I'm guessing forever, is like when Ray is getting attacked by the cop, and like she doesn't know what else to do, because
she thinks he's gonna die, and so you know, I heard a rumor, you just walked away, and you know, I mean, I think that right there is again restraint, right? Because she could have, I heard a rumor you killed all those other cops, like, you know, she very easily could have gone even to a darker place.
And I compare that to, think about social media, how we have it, and social media, and one...
She's not allowed on social media.
Good.
Not.
Good. Very good. And the reason I say that is because in social media, people a lot of times say the first thing that's on their mind. They don't think about it. And if you had a power like Allison's, how easy would it be to forget?
Yeah.
And just go off emotion, and again, it reminds me of Kilgrave.
Yeah. Oh,
and it's one of the few times I actually kind of felt for Kilgrave, is when he says, I think he tells Jessica, where he's like, how would you feel if you don't know if somebody's doing something because you said it or because they want to do it for you?
Right.
And this is it. Now his is even, I think, worse than hers.
Yeah. Because he's nefarious with it.
Well, I mean, in the sense of how control. Like she needs to say, I heard a rumor.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have to do any of that.
Yeah,
he's just
so. Yeah. Right. So yeah, like you were saying, it's like having a power like that. Because of what she was and what she did, like how she got into Hollywood and all that stuff, and I love how you said that, Haley, where she said, you know, I feel like I earned it.
Yeah. She just had been rumoring everybody her whole life.
Yeah, and
because that's basically what her dad had trained her to do.
Right.
Yep.
So
again,
I will say in the comic, so she kills JFK in the comic, right? And she leans over and she said, "I heard a rumor that the back of your head's about to explode."
Oh wow!
And then that's what happened. And she had rumored Jackie and taken Jackie's spot in the car. And and then it cuts to the hospital, and it's the whole Jackie Kennedy's like, where am I? What happened? You know, like it was just a really like nice way to like use actual history.
So the whole "I blew your mind" thing was kind of like
this little wink.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh?
I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
But and to get real quick on the the whole the civil rights thing, that was a great point as far as and one of my favorite things Joe said to Barry Allen like in the Flash series is like, you don't know what you don't know,
right?
And a lot of times people think they know things until it gets hit in the face.
Case in point.
Hey.
So,
I'm not denying it, but it's true.
Yeah,
but still, hey.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's with everybody.
It's all of us, man.
It's everybody.
But
like we think we know something.
Yeah. But you're of a generation that feels like you guys already know everything.
Yeah.
That's not wrong.
Yeah. So in that, like, Allison could have read all she wanted about the civil rights. But comparing that with, her being a Hollywood starlet, getting whatever she wanted, and then going to that, basically to the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
Without her power.
I think a year without her voice is what really changed her.
I think that, because she was forced to navigate things in a different way. She didn't have that to fall back on. And to your point when you were talking about how the diner was kind of like the core of her development of this season.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it showed how far she developed.
I think even more so than the beauty parlor.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't think at all, if she didn't have that year of not using her voice, there's no way she would have been able to.
No, the civil rights movement wouldn't
way.
have happened because she would have just been rumoring people left and right.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So moving on to Ben. Piss off, he's a ghost. Anyway, no, Ben was great this season. We should probably hurry up. We're already over an hour. Yeah. Ben was great this season. I really liked him just wanting the family to acknowledge him, and Klaus oh, ghosts don't time travel.
Well, I mean, he was mad at him, but still, it's rude, and I felt bad for Ben.
And that was kind of like an immaturity of Klaus too.
Well, yeah.
Which
that's
again,
just Klaus.
Yeah,
it's just Klaus. Yeah.
But that's perfect. That's exactly what Klaus would do.
My favorite Ben moment was actually the funeral for Ben when Klaus brings him back.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Oh no, you're fine. You can leave at any time." And he's like, "Do you want to go watch me piss in Dad's gas tank?" And Ben's like, "All right, yeah." And then that Ben told Vanya that he was too scared to leave, and that was heartbreaking and awesome, and it showed the bond that he had with Klaus.
And that reminds me of for this whole time, Klaus was thinking that it was his fault.
Yeah.
That Ben didn't go to the
which
afterlife.
I think probably has a lot to do with the drug use and the guilt and
that's something I never even until this season, that's nothing that ever crossed my mind.
Right.
So.
But speaking on the thing where you say when Ben is too scared to go into the light, when he's going to possess Vanya, it's all white light.
Yep.
He steps into the light, and that's when he's done his unfinished business.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also the scene where he's trying to possess Klaus to go talk to Jill is hilarious by just waiting for him to fall asleep, and he's just inching closer.
Yep. every time he closes his eyes.
It reminds me of one of those videos where people have with cats where they'll have the footage and then they'll go around the corner, then they'll come back. And then the cat will be a few feet closer, and they'll just keep going.
Or like the whispers in the blink in Doctor Who, the angel, the weeping angels. So you blink, and they only move when you're not looking at them.
Oh, okay, yeah, I have read
which
about
are terrifying, right?
That's
so
terrifying.
you blink, and they get closer to you, and the whole thing is they're like time assassins, and they kill you, and but yeah, all right. So we did Allison Ben. All right, so that's the Umbrella Academy. I think. Learning more about Sir Reginald Hargreeves this season was interesting. Learning more about Grace was interesting. And I thought Lila was a breath of fresh air to the team.
Peter Petrelli, you mean?
Yes, she was Peter Petrelli from Heroes. Or she was Sylar without the brain stealing.
Yeah.
Because Peter and Sylar had the same power. But she was she was unhinged even when she wasn't in the loony bin. And I feel like she probably should have just stayed in the loony bin. Anyone who does shoe bacon like that ain't right in the head.
And again, I how much of that has to do with, I know she not necessarily saw her parents.
Right.
Unless she could see through,
who knows?
But she was there when her parents were murdered.
Yeah, and heard them screaming, "Please don't murder me.
So,
don't murder me."
That's super traumatizing, let alone being raised by the handler, having live fire being shot at you while you're going through an obstacle course at, what, 12 or 13?
I mean, she's lucky. I mean, she was a baby when I killed her original parents, but, you know.
I knew it. I knew it.
Back in 1902.
That just makes no sense.
Think about it. Anyway, I love messing with her. So, like her tail.
I didn't have a tail.
We all had tails at one point.
She had a vestigial tail when she was
I
a baby.
didn't have
You know,
a tail.
Stop yelling. You're blowing out the sound. Anyway. But no, I thought Lila was a great addition. And then at the end, the fact that she didn't stick around with them was important.
I think there's no way. I mean, she can't right now because she finds that out about her mom, and you know she's like, you know, had this perfect orbit or sloppily elliptical orbit, and you know all that information just knocks her out of orbit, and she just needs to get away with herself and figure stuff out.
Yep. So I'm excited to see her come back, especially because of the Sparrows.
Yes.
And have her team up with the UA. All right. So these episodes, the titles are great. Right back where we started. The Frankel footage, the Swedish Job, the Majestic 12, Valhalla, the Light Supper, which is fantastic. Oga for Orga, the 7 stages, 743, and the end of something. Right? Yeah. None of these really tell much of anything. I will say episode 7, Oga for Orga, the whole idea that they looked up Oga for Orga in the phone book, and there was a woman in Dallas that had that as a name, and then 5 comes in and goes, "It's eye for an eye in Swedish, you morons." Yeah. Like, and they're like, "Oh," and Diego's like, "I'm sorry, wrong number," after he threatens to kill her. Like,
you will be dead by nightfall.
Yeah, right. I did leave out a character real quick, Elliot. Elliot was one RIP. Let's pour one out for Elliot. Yeah. He was so great. And that actor, I have no idea what his name is. He's one of those guy
He's one
actors.
Of those characters. Yeah.
So like he was in Justified. He was great in Justified. He was great in Friday Night Lights. Like anytime he shows up, he's great. It was nice to see him not playing a Nazi for a change, because he normally is always
he was a bad cop in Lucifer in the first one season.
Oh, okay.
1 or 2.
But he's great, and Elliot was awesome and did not deserve to go out that way. Like the IKEA Mafia did a number on him. But I will say, like, the first episode is really, really good. Watching them all land.
That for me was better than the dance scene in the first episode of season 1.
Yeah,
the
dance scene's
will
great.
Be better than the dance scene.
And I love the dance scene. I'll randomly watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, I do that too. I do that all the time.
Let me watch this regularly. But it's just like the comic book type, Avengers type action of seeing them like just let loose, like, because we've never seen that, all of them at one time letting loose.
Right.
And the fact that random. Luther took a bazooka to the back.
Yeah.
But he gets knocked out by that one guy. I know he let him, but that's a small complaint, but I just
it hit the gorilla portion of him, and that guy
that
hit
is
the human
that is
portion
true.
of him. So it's like Star-Lord says, "I'm only half human, so I'm only 50% dumb." So
that 50% of me, that's all you.
Yeah, that 50% of me that's stupid, that's all you. Anyway, so yeah, I loved that opening sequence. I loved how they all landed out of time, and it was really interesting to listen. We've talked about this, Haley and I've talked about this a couple times, of who they yelled for. No one called for Vanya. No one called for Klaus. It was either they called for Luther, 5, or Diego, and then the whole Allison and the homeless guy. So I thought that was really clever.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, that was that's one thing that I first picked up as they were landing, and then I also thought it was interesting is how tied to the Kennedy assassination they were. Luther was working for Jack Ruby. Diego was on Deacon Lee Harvey Oswald to cut off his trigger finger.
What if he's ambidextrous?
You really are like Batman, but aim lower. You know, it was like that's like the perfect way to describe the Kraken. That's one thing I miss from the comic to the show is they don't use their code names very often.
Oh yeah.
He called him Space Boy derogatorily.
And Claire's daughter, Claire, not Alice. Allison's daughter, Claire, calls Luther Space Boy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So it's Space Boy, the Kraken, the Rumor, the Seance, the Terror, the boy, and then the White Violin. So, but she becomes the White Violin later. Anyway, like this was really, 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 really interesting. I thought like when we first see the guy with the hello and goodbye tattoos when Klaus is in jail, is interesting, especially because it's revealed to Allison. The dinner with Hargreeves is a highlight of the whole season.
Yes.
When they're all showing off their powers and Vanya goes to show it and everyone's like, no. And she's like, ding, blows up their fruit platter. And Allison just keeps on drinking.
Yeah.
Like that was the light supper. That was great. I think the fights, the hallway fight, Netflix show, there's got to be a hallway fight. With Five and Lila and Diego versus the IKEA Mafia. That was a great hallway fight. Yeah. And, watching Diego realize that Lila's not necessarily who she says she is when she goes to help Five and not him was really cool. I don't know what. You look like you want to say something.
No.
Oh, okay. So.
And let's not forget the music.
Once
again.
Even better than the first season.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Adele Swedish version of Are You Out There?
Yeah.
It's
or
low.
The whatever, I don't know the name of the goddamn song. Did the song come out after 1993?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I stopped listening to new music in the 90s, dude. The remake of the Chris Isaac Wicked Game was fantastic.
Sinatra.
Sinatra. The I Was Made for Loving You song during the hallway scene was perfect. But yeah, I think I just feel like Haley, most time when a second season of a show comes out, it's not as good as the first season. It's called the sophomore slump.
Movies too.
A lot of movies, yeah. But usually the second movie in a good trilogy is the best. Because it's the actual story and the climax and everything. But yeah, this was fantastic. It took the first season, which was kind of like Iron Man or Ant-Man, whereas that we weren't in a lot of locations. We spent a lot of time in the Umbrella Academy HQ. And this just blew it out. It was a whole world now. And they did a great job world building in season 1. And then they did a great job of living in that world that they built, even though it was 60 years in the past in season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I wasn't sure what to expect with this season. Just like I wasn't sure what to expect with the first season, honestly.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how it was going to be. Once that dance scene hit, I was sold. That was for season 1. Season 2, they start off even quicker because the dance scene was 15 minutes.
Yeah, in. It was partially in.
Yeah,
you texted me and said that first 15 minutes, man, and I was like, I need to watch it, and we weren't able to watch it until the afternoon on Saturday.
Yeah,
or Friday.
It was killing me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't let her watch ahead.
No, and then you both fell asleep and left me to my own devices.
So she watched. So I fell asleep around episode 5. On Friday night, and then she I wake up and she was on
basically episode 8. I didn't watch it yet, but that's where I stopped.
She stopped episode 7. I'm like, go to bed, quit watching. And then I caught up to her.
But man, this season, this was such a great job.
Yep.
They took everything they did well in season 1 and continued it on, and I didn't feel like any of the characters were stagnant in their development. They all move forward in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
For the better.
Yeah.
And then that ending with, like you said, with the Sparrow Academy.
Yeah, the Sparrow Academy. And Herbie running now they have an alliance at the commission.
Yeah.
This will be really interesting.
Yeah.
So.
And you had Ben, who are these assholes?
Who are these assholes? And then they're all, what's their favorite word?
Am I allowed to say it?
Go ahead, say it.
Shit.
They're all like, shit.
Yeah.
They say shit. Like she said it. She's the first time they're like, oh shit, and she's like, that's their favorite word. And I'm like, I gave her the look, the dad look.
Yeah.
But no, they say shit like 750 times during the series. It's
I'm
crazy.
right.
Yeah, no,
when
you're
I'm
absolutely
right.
right. Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. You know what they say about a broken clock, right? It's right twice a day. Even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So,
But
you know what
yeah.
they say about a blind squirrel and acorns, right? Even a blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while.
I know where you sleep.
She
Just
does.
remember that.
All right.
And I can be very
And
quiet.
she is your daughter.
She's
so-
my daughter, but I owe her.
I know how to dispose of a body.
Okay.
Well, we watched the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah,
right?
we watched him bury or burn.
Burn.
So anyway, no, I thought the way they shot this season too, like just from the actual like art of filmmaking
Mhm.
was really different. Everything was so bright
Yeah.
and colorful, and that's you know anything with Diego that happened in the first season was at night.
Yeah.
So everything was dark, and then getting to see that, and like superhero shows tend to go for like the nighttime look and feel, but even at night, like when they went to the Magnificent 12's gathering, like that mansion was lit like
Right.
you know like Ebbets Field, like it was so bright and colorful and like you know the 60s, and it was really cool. And I don't think we've talked enough about the cult.
No, we have
Destiny's
not.
Child was great.
That is so funny. Destiny's
Ben
Child.
loving Jill and
Yeah.
then learning that Klaus had already slept with her
Yeah.
was really funny. And then the fact that his wisdom in air quotes was just song
Song
lyrics.
Yeah.
So
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
well, but then Ben has to give a lyric, and he gives a Backstreet Boy lyric. That was the funniest thing.
And
like,
then it cuts to the Backstreet
well,
Boys
yeah,
song.
that was what made it great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I just.
Backstreet's back. All right.
But yeah, this season was great, and again, I love how they did the cliffhanger, just
Yeah.
like season 1.
Yep.
Um,
It hasn't said if it's approved for season 3 or picked up
Better
for
be,
season
man.
3 yet, but I don't see how it wouldn't. I mean, it's still like it's a week later,
Mhm.
and it's still the number one thing in the top 10.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and like you all told me, I heard you all like Baby Pogo.
yeah, Baby
Yeah.
Pogo is way cuter than Baby Yoda.
Okay, I'm waiting.
So.
I'm just gonna be waiting for the Baby Pogo pop to come.
You know who I wouldn't stick in a sack and punch? Baby Pogo.
We get it. You got your grievances with Baby Yoda.
I don't have grievances with Baby Yoda. I just thought the best part of the Baby Yoda story was when the scout troopers were punching him in the bag and he bit him.
I love
That's
that when he bet
That's
it.
not funny.
It was hilarious.
It
And then
wasn't
IGA at the end shows up
hilarious.
and does some violence.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So on a scale of 1 to 5 umbrellas, Haley, how many umbrellas do you give this season?
7.
All right. If you're gonna Dave Metzger it,
What's that mean?
so wrestling matches are like rated at a 5-star scale, and he
Uh-huh.
gives things like a 6 stars all the time. It's just funny. Anyway,
Okay.
So I'd give it a 4.5.
yeah, I'm gonna go 4.5 as well. I think it wasn't perfect. I think there was just some creeping like modern stuff that didn't need to happen in the 60s in there. And I think there were some superfluous characters that we had way too much time with, but it was excellent. Like, and you know, I think it, like you said, it built on everything that season 1 did, and like expanded upon it and made us fall deeper in love with these characters.
Yeah,
because that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about those 6.5 characters who, you know.
Yeah, we'd better get a season 3.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't.
I it was just like the Expanse news that it got picked
Yeah.
up for season 6. I'm not surprised.
Netflix doesn't really announce like we're doing
No.
things early. They want to make sure things have legs,
Mhm.
you know. And you know, I mean, I've watched the season twice already. How many times have you watched through it?
2.5.
Yeah. So,
I've only watched it once.
well, you know, you had a job. Have a job,
And I actually watched those when I wasn't working.
Yeah.
So, like,
but
that's
But
not something
what-
I listen to.
although in a week I'll be right there with you. So, whoop, whoop. Anyway, all right, cool. Any last words, Haley?
Yes. One thing about Hargreeves or the monocle. We did not talk about him being an alien.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Actually, forgot it.
I didn't forget about it.
I've just been waiting for you to mention
okay,
it.
like
Yeah,
okay,
talk
bring
about
up.
It was
Talk
just-
about the
I was
alien.
kind of upset in the first season where they didn't reveal that, but
Yeah.
as soon as like I saw him taking off the mask, I was like,
His face.
finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how he just set his face on the chair. By the way.
Like they did
So-
with the bathroom scene in the
Yeah.
comic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, did you know? You didn't know he was an alien.
Yeah.
Or did
Yeah.
I spoil that for you?
No, I
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't know if I like you spoiled it or I.
I mean,
read it
it's
or
like
something.
immediately. So, like, the whole idea is like his planet was exploding.
Yes.
And
it was
so
going through an apocalypse.
These are all like, they're all aliens that like impregnated these women, and
Mhm.
then so they're all like half him, like half whatever his race is, which is why they have the powers. Which I think we'll probably learn more about
That's what I
at
was
some
Probably.
point. Because I mean, we haven't really learned a whole lot about that in the comics yet. So there's been 3 volumes out in the comics, and there's supposed to be 4 more. So
yeah.
Okay.
Gerard's released
Gerard
the
Way.
cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said Gerard.
Yeah.
Gerard. He's released the cover for the 4th comic,
Okay.
and he's revealed that he's gonna go more into the super babies.
Yeah.
And
Oh, okay, that's
so
good.
we're gonna know what's going on with them.
Yeah.
Even though he does say most of them died.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, because there were 43 of them.
Right.
So, and some of them got sold to Hargreeves and some of them didn't. But, yeah, no, the alien thing was a great reveal. You're right. The way they did that, I think if you weren't a fan of the comics and you only watched the show, like that was probably a pretty like holy shit moment. Like, what is happening here? I also think for some people that have been like, ugh, jump the shark.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. There's some people, but I mean, it's a show with power.
But the fact that he took out the
Majestic
you
flow.
know I was gonna say the deep state.
Yeah, the deep state. No,
So, but yeah, the fact that he did that because he didn't want Kennedy to die, was really cool and really, really interesting. So, all right. Any last words for you?
no, I just again, that's one of these shows that it's not only good, but it's extremely rewatchable.
Yeah.
And not
yeah.
every show that I like and is good is as rewatchable as something like Umbrella Academy.
I mean, so
Yeah.
we finished and then she immediately went back and started on episode 1.
Like
So
season 1.
season 1. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Highly rewatchable.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it yet, well, I mean, you got spoiled a lot for season 2,
Yeah.
but
So anyway, all right, cool. On that note, go to our website. There's all the pertinent links you need there to support the show and check us out and everything. Daryl's gonna get a bio to me soon. Actually, a shout out to one of our Instagram followers who sent me the profile picture that I'm gonna put up this week.
that was actually pretty
So
awesome.
that was pretty awesome. Anyway, yeah, cool. On that note,
This was Kid Botto 7, and I don't know what to say from there. Bye.
all right. See you next week.
Signing out.
Bye. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, with new episodes out every Sunday. You can find more information about the show online at infamouspodcast.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as @infamouspodcast. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcatching app. If you're enjoying the show, consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or check out our Patreon at patreon.com/infamouspodcast for our new tiers and rewards. The Infamous Podcast is hosted and produced by me, Brian Tudor, with music provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. You can find me on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as @BrianTudor. So, whenever you're listening to the show, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Later.